Now, Von Miller, officially introduced by the Cowboys Tuesday, the two-time Super Bowl champion and 8-time Pro Bowler, is the latest addition to a revamped Dallas defense that looks to improve off of a league worst ranking in 2025. And as the locker room makes room for these new players, there's some number negotiations to take place as well.
I'm not going to get caught up in a number, but I did make some offers to him already that he can't. I feel like he can't really, come off of those. I think, a lifetime supply of chicken, I do it. So, whatever it takes to, to make it happen, whether it does or not. Like, I'm here to win games. I'm here to win a Super Bowl. A number would be nice, but I think the most important thing is to win a lot of these games, playing big games, and the number would just be an afterthought.
Hey, locker room, what's up? This is the Playmaker. I was going to wait because I'm headed over here now to go see the Cowboys practice today. Today they're scrimmaging against the Saints. And I was just going to wait to do a summary of what I've done here the last couple of days, but I don't want to wait and sum it all up. I'm going to two-part this. I want to make it what it was because I found yesterday's practice so interesting. And I talk about it. I see so much in practice. I see so much, that I can see here that I don't see from just watching the game. And the things, honestly, the things I've seen that I really like. Like, dude, let me tell y'all something. This defensive line we have, such a difference than what we've had here before. And I know I said this to you guys, and I know I got to go. I know I said this to you guys prior to getting here and prior to being around this place and everything. And I talked about how happy I was that Jerry paid Quinnen Williams and how we now are building a defense from the inside out. And I told you, if you can build a defense where you make it solid up the middle and it's built from inside out, it's much more difficult than if you built from outside, either side, or even both sides. And that's what this team has. Man, I got it. I was doing some interviews, and Quinnen Williams came up to me. What's up, Mike, man? Paid homage, and I appreciate it. But remember what I told you. That tells you something. That tells you the kind of dude he is, the kind of player he is, the kind of leader he is, and why people like him. He's that gathering dude. You know what I mean? He makes a difference. Dude, and then, I was talking to somebody else. Yeah. Listen to me. I really never really met this dude. But Rashawn Gary grabbed me. When this dude grabbed me, I'm talking about this dude is he's like this. He's like a brick wall. And I was like, man, look at this joker, man. That's a big, strong dude. Dude, that defensive line, I can't wait to see that on the field. I can't wait to see with Walker. I cannot, dude. For so many years, we have been hurt with people running up the center of the football field. It has killed Dallas. You tell me the one thing, you said, Michael, point out the one thing that you will see that can say that you can say will be the definitive thing that get this team deeper in the playoffs than those other teams or any of those other teams over the last 30 years. It's going to be Dallas Cowboys defensive line's ability to stop the run, and especially the run up the middle. We have been decimated, dominated, and destroyed. And it's not something that just happened here recently. Remember, This happened when we were leaving Texas Stadium. You remember the last few games at Texas Stadium? We got gas. We got gas right up the middle of the field. But that shit ain't gonna happen no more. That's why I say, over the last 30 years, this has hurt us more than anything. More than anything. Go look at it. And I ain't looked up no numbers. I'm telling you what my eyes have seen. Stopping the run up the middle of the field, that's the one thing I'm saying. That shit is over. You will not run up the middle on the football field on the Dallas Cowboys anymore. That's the number one thing. You know what? I got so much to talk about. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to leave that one by itself right now. Because of people, I want you to marinate on that. I'm going to go to practice. You know, I talked to Dak yesterday. I talked to, of course, with Jerry, Coach Schottenheimer, and I must admit, I like the dude. I really, really like the dude a whole lot. I'm hoping for great success. I really am. I like everything he's about. And I like the whole staff. When I asked him about that, I said, how intentional are you with this whole staff? So much younger than the Mike McCarthy staff, and he said I was very intentional with it. I'm just telling you, I gotta go. I gotta get to practice. I gotta get to practice like I'm gonna run a route, huh? I gotta get to practice, though. Get this. I tell you, I love sports. I love all the sports. I just love football a little more. You know what I mean? I love all the NFL teams. I just love the Dallas Cowboys a little more. You know what I mean? And even on this trip, I've gone, yeah, I just love them. Yeah, you know what I mean. So I'm going back for day 2 a little more.
Unbelievable.
No, it's crazy.
It really is.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think I was a freshman in high school at that Steelers-Cowboys Super Bowl 30 game, and to think that, man, that was going to be.
Tuesday edition of PFT Live. There is definitely some kind of weird vibe between Troy Aikman and the Cowboys, beyond the fact that he now works for the Dolphins. More on that in a second. But Aikman was appearing on the Dallas Dialogue with Dale podcast. Try saying that 5 times fast. Dale Hansen, the legendary WFAA sportscaster. Among other things, Aikman was asked whether he could envision and imagine that the Cowboys' last Super Bowl win was when he was their starting quarterback in 1995. Here's what Troy had to say.
It's hard to fathom. I mean, it really is, because we see it. We talk every year about parity and how we've seen teams that have gone from last to first and teams that have not been historically very good, and yet they still make a run. They'll make it to a championship game. It's hard to really put your finger on it exactly why, because when you look at the number of regular season wins that they've had, they're probably top 5 over the last 2 decades, right. And yet it hasn't translated into the postseason. And the Cowboys fans, they deserve better. I do know that. I mean, this is the Cowboys, the flagship franchise, and the fact that the Cowboys in 30 years has not made it to a championship game. I mean, that's, let alone a Super Bowl. I mean, it's just, it's hard to fathom.
Unbelievable, yeah.
My favorite NFL stat currently, and it will continue to be this way, although it will never have as much symmetry and perfection as it has right now. First 30 Super Bowls, the Cowboys played in the game to get to the Super Bowl 16 times. Next 30 Super Bowls, Dallas Cowboys played in the game to get to the Super Bowl 0 times. That is incredible. More than half the time, the first time around, for the first 30, they were in the game to get to the Super Bowl. Not a single time. Unbelievable.
No, it's crazy.
It really is.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think I was a freshman in high school at that Steelers-Cowboys Super Bowl 30 game, and to think that, man, that was going to be the last time we see the Cowboys in the Super Bowl for a long, long time. Now, I said to you earlier in the show, I said, yeah, it feels like Troy spouts off about the Cowboys a little bit more than usual over the last year or so. And I do wonder if there's something more there. Certainly the obvious thing is that, yes, they haven't included him in football decisions, which would be a great thing. I mean, yeah, Troy's smart as hell, knows the league backwards and frontwards. And we've talked about it. I mean, the Cowboys, the Jones have done some good things. We know that business-wise. They have an eye for talent. They got a little unlucky in a few years. Definitely. Got upset by the Giants in 2007. Probably were a better team, right? Rodgers, makes an amazing throw against Jason Garrett and that team in 2016. The Des Bryant catch game, right? That's another one in 2014 where you go, hey, those teams were Super Bowl caliber, and they got a little unlucky in their approach getting the NFC Championship game. But all the other years goes back to an old saying that we like to talk about last year, and I say all the time. The circus don't go to the Super Bowls. And just too many years, there's been circus. Circus, bullcrap, contracts, distractions, whatever else. And that's not conducive to being a top-notch franchise that way.
Well, and think about this. You cited 3 examples in 30 years.
Yeah, I know.
Where they had a team that had a chance to get the NFC Championship. The other 27 years.
Yeah.
No, it is amazing. The last time the Cowboys played in the Super Bowl, we had just found out that Jill was pregnant with my son, who will be 30 in less than a month.
Yeah.
And I was at the Steelers-Colts AFC Championship game the same
Jim
day
Harbaugh.
the Cowboys beat the Packers.
Yeah.
They beat the Packers later that day to set the date for the Super Bowl 30 match between the Steelers and the Cowboys in Arizona. All right, one more from Troy, and this might shed some light on what you're saying. Here's Aikman on the reasons for the Cowboys' lack of success in the postseason.
I think that teams and organizations, whether it's sports, business, I think it all does start at the top, good or bad. I think starts at the top. I don't think Jerry would shy away from that. I think Jerry would certainly take responsibility. He'll take accountability if and when they win, and I think then you have to take responsibility when it hasn't worked out. They've been going down this road for so long, and yet it hasn't translated into success in January, and there has to be a reason for that. I'm not in the building. Everyone then has their opinion as to what it might be, but it just doesn't add up.
The common thread is ownership, especially when the owner is the GM. Because as Jerry Jones has said before, he was questioned by Bob Costas in this regard at one point, would you have fired yourself? Well, and Jerry said, I can't. Maybe I would, but I can't. So that's the common thread. Ownership, we've talked about this with the Jets. It applies to other teams, but also you make the owner the GM, and that's the common thread. That's the common denominator. And, yeah, I do think Troy's a little salty that Jerry hasn't hired him or relied on him or leaned on him. He's clearly wanted to be involved with the team, and the NFL foolishly allows Tom Brady and Troy Aikman to do it now. The Brady rules apply to Troy Aikman now with the ESPN role and the Dolphins role, but this is what he wanted. He would have loved to have had it with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And now he's got it with the Dolphins, and they play at least once every 4 years.
I mean, it would have made sense. I mean, it's the perfect thing. I mean, it's you got a chance to go like Browns, Ravens into, hey, one of our great players, Ozzie Newsome's going to lead us into the promised land of the next future. Like, what speaks better about your team that way? Yeah, they've dropped the ball. The Jones have taken too much control, and yeah, they've done some good things like we've said, but they've done some other things where I'd go, they're not so good. So, and I think what even sheds more light on it too is that, yeah, not only the Dolphins hiring him, but how many ex-Cowboys players